Thank you, everyone. Tonight we have a special show, and I might be breaking up for it, but it's all right. We all lost a very dear friend, and tonight we're celebrating his life. He was a close friend of everyone here, and he passed away very suddenly in December of 2010. Today is February 11th, 2011, and it would have been his 65th birthday. His name was Frank Dudley. A lot of people probably would recognize his name and probably recognize seeing him, and you'll see lots of pictures and you'll see some clips from all the movies he did. But he had a good life. He loved his work. He loved CTV. He loved doing movies. He loved everybody that he met. He never had a bad word to say about anyone. And now we're here to celebrate his life. And we hope that we'll all see him again someday when it's our turn. In the meantime, I'd like to introduce two of my guests tonight. We have from Lake Films, Lance Reha and Chris Mancuso. Bill Kosnick is Frank's nephew, but he's not here yet. And I don't know if he'll make it for tonight, but hopefully he will. And if he does, I'm sure he'll be able to tell you things about Frank also. But we all have known him for many years, and we are very, very fond of him. And I wanted to, first of all, let's talk about how we all know Frank. First of all, I personally met Frank very, very briefly for about 2 or 3 minutes when I was a teenager for the first time. And if I hadn't had that chance meeting, I would not have known him in my adult life because I was sitting in a candy store, probably having a chocolate egg cream. That's what I usually sat at the counter in this candy store doing. And he was in the back, but I didn't even notice him actually at that point. I was 16 years old. And the man behind the counter points to him and says, you know, he's an actor. And being a 16-year-old girl, I was definitely impressed, of course, you know. And I turned around, I looked at him, I smiled, and he had a whole bunch of newspapers under his arm. He was there buying up all the Village Voices, I think he could, at that point, because of a play that he was in was being reviewed. And he was buying up all the newspapers. And he went into one of his routines, apparently, from the play, and he just said his name. He said, "I'm Francis William Dudley," and he just walked out the door, you know, and just kind of waved and kept going. And then many years later, I got a call from a friend who said, somebody on your block is making a movie, and I knew it was him. So I remembered his name and looked him up in the phone book, and there he was, and I called him, and the rest is history. We've been the closest of friends ever since. And Frank was the person who got me interested in doing what I've been doing here at CTV. And he has been an inspiration to me all the years after that. Big inspiration. Now you have a story, Lance, about how you met Frank.
I met him right down here. Actually, indirectly, I have to thank my mother because she forced me to come down here to become a producer. And I had been editing one of my first projects, and Frank stuck his head in the door, and he said, I saw some of your work. And he said, you know, I'm an actor. And I said, well, you know, at the time I was using neighborhood kids and my brother and friends. And I said, oh, to have an actor in a movie, great.
Right.
So I actually told him, we're actually shooting a film. I could use you in it. And he misunderstood, and he showed up with his equipment. He thought I meant to shoot it.
Right.
But I said, no, I want you to be in it.
Yeah.
And 13 films later, you know, he's been in 13 films, but he's been involved in every film, even if he wasn't in it.
Right, I know.
You know, behind the scenes or helping other actors or...
And he loved every minute of everything he did.
Oh, yeah. Always, always.
He did. He was really into it.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many memories. Like you'll see in a little while, I made a 12-minute piece on his acting career with me. I could have done a 2-hour documentary, you know, because there's so much.
Yeah,
there's
I know.
so much stuff and interviews, and that's how many, you know, people don't understand. The friendship you form on a film set, you get very close. You're spending
Absolutely.
a lot of time together.
That's right.
And you know, there's a lot going on when you get involved with a film. So that just strengthens the friendship. We were also friends outside the film world too.
I know.
You know, we used to come over your house all the time.
That's right. Barbecues,
so,
everything.
Yeah. So big part of our life.
Yes, I know, a big part. And everybody, he impressed everybody. He's got a very, very long list of acting things that he did. He did 13 films with you, and he also did a lot of plays. He did the Frank Elgin, which is the head, the main character of The Country Girl when it was put up by the College of Staten Island. I have here the review where it says, theater, Odette's revival, solid and worth seeing. And there's a paragraph here about Frank. Anyway, I have to find it. Dudley gives a multi-level performance that manages to display both the cruelly manipulative and sympathetic sides of the hard-boozing Frank Elgin, while also bringing to life the characters often referred to former acting greatness. So he got a really, really good, good write-up for the play.
Well, I did 2 years ago. I had a film in the Staten Island Film Festival, Dark Reflection, and it was showing at the, was that Snug Harbor? Mm-hmm. It was showing at Snug Harbor in the very room where he tap danced as a 6-year-old child on the very stage, and we found that very interesting.
We have a picture of that, yeah.
That he, you know, where I'm showing this movie all these years later that he's in, he actually tap danced on that stage. There he is.
Yeah, there he is. That's him. That's the stage, and that's Frank as a 6 or 7-year-old little boy, and he was tap dancing there.
He was born. He was born to act.
Oh, yeah.
He was.
He started tap dancing when he was 4.
Yeah, so, and what amazed him with my stuff is he brought something new to every role. The first film he ever played, it was in for me, was he played a German mortician.
Yes, I remember that.
And he brought the accent, the mannerisms, he even put on fake eyebrows. He had these big gray eyebrows. I mean, every role he ever played, he became that character. And I know he was a big fan of Brando. So I think he lived that part while he was doing it. I think you mentioned once, you used to tell him, Frank, leave the part on the set.
Tell me about it. Well,
leave the role on the set.
He lived upstairs from me, and whenever he was playing a part, he would come downstairs to have coffee with me or something, and he'd be in that character. And I'm saying, Frank, I want to talk to Frank. I don't want to talk to so-and-so, you know?
Yeah.
Just be yourself when you're home, please.
Yeah. You know, and in all the years I've worked with the man, never had a problem. Never had a problem.
No.
Argument,
No.
Any misunderstandings, nothing.
Nothing. I know. He was that way. He just rolled with the punches and went with the flow. And yeah, I know. I mean, he lived in the same house as me, and we very rarely had any kind of disagreement.
I mean, if you could say the only positive thing is that now I have the angel over here, and maybe he'll guide me in the right direction to.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he's here right now.
To go in the right way.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
I actually met Frank Dudley before I met Lance.
Really?
I was bartending at a bar called Spirits, which is no longer exists. But he came in, and jolly old fellow, you know, had his beer, and we started BSing, talking, oh, I'm an actor. And then he mentioned Lance, and I said, oh, well, I'm a writer. And, you know, Frank and I actually became friends because he used to come in the bar often. I gave him a couple of scripts, and you know, we got to be really good friends, and then I met Lance, you know, at the film festival, really, or maybe a little before.
The first film festival, yeah.
That's when we really started talking, and it was like him and Frank, you know, really made that connection there.
And you guys have worked very well together ever since, I know.
Well, the first script he ever wrote, for me, starred Frank. It was all Frank, Dark Reflection. And he was really the main character.
And as a writer, that's the first time that I've ever written anything specifically for an actor. Like he said, oh, we're going to have Frank in this. So that whole time I wrote that character, I actually had Frank in my head, which I was never used to doing. And he just went off. He's phenomenal. Frank is awesome.
He is. He was very awesome. He was. As a person, as an actor, as a friend. If he had $1 in his pocket and you needed 75 cents, he'd give it to you.
Well, he gave a memory to our family a couple of years ago. Christmas Eve. Remember Christmas Eve you guys ate over the house?
He was Santa Claus.
He had a Santa outfit, and I said, we're going to have all the kids over. Would you mind playing Santa? Oh, no problem.
Oh, he ate that up.
He went upstairs, he got dressed, he came down, and they heard him coming, and the kids were just looking at him because he did it great. He even played that great.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he gave out gifts. He read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and they still talk about that.
Oh, sure, I'm sure.
You know?
Well, you know, Frank, he loved acting. And if I was with a child and I would say, do you want to talk to Santa Claus? Especially if it's around Christmas times. And the child would say, yeah, I want to talk to Santa Claus. So I would call Frank. And I wouldn't have to say, hey, Frank, I need you to do Santa. I would just say, is this Santa Claus? And he would go right into the act and then I would put the child on the telephone, and the kid would be like really thrilled to be talking to Santa Claus.
Yeah, I think we've been talking a lot about Frank lately, and I think there's a lesson to be learned from him and his life.
Yeah.
He liked living a simple life. He was happy doing what he was doing. He didn't need to be a millionaire.
Right.
He didn't need to drive a big car or live in Hollywood. He was really happy feeding the birds in the morning.
That's right.
Having his morning cup of coffee, doing our films.
That's right.
And there's something to be said for
someone
who
He did everything he did with joy.
There's something to be said for someone who could be happy with the little things in life.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And
well, I think that's what we're here for. We're not here for big fancy cars and all kinds of stuff.
To be happy.
We're here to help each other, and just to be happy and live.
I mean, here's a man. We were in Westerly Park filming. I turn around. Where's Frank? He always wandering off. He's talking to some woman with a dog, and he's giving the dog biscuits. He would carry dog biscuits in his coat.
That's
so whenever he saw a dog, he would feed him biscuits.
That's right.
You know,
Yes, he did.
I know he definitely touched a lot of lives.
He did. Even people, I got a call, well, actually, Frank's cell phone had rung. I had his cell phone. And there was a fellow that he met the day before he passed away who was calling him, that he had impressed him. And I said, I'm sorry, but, you know, the day after you met him, he passed away. And the guy was like in shock, oh, what a nice guy. We had such a nice conversation, and I was just calling him and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, so I know he touched people that didn't even know him, he touched.
you know, it was really a shock. I mean, I should let people know, on December 5th, the last film he did for me, it's called The Lonely Road, written by Tom Bragg. And it was the night of our premiere. And it was getting later and later, and he wasn't coming. And when I called the house,
and Bob answered the phone.
Bob answered, his best friend. He told me, you know, Frank passed away. And I didn't believe him. I said...
You thought he was joking.
I said, you're joking, but, you know. And then I had a room full of people waiting to see the movies. And I said to Tom and Chris, you know, what do I do? What should I do?
The show had to go on,
And I asked
right?
my wife, and I asked my mother, I said, what do you guys think? They said, you have to tell them.
Sure, of course.
So he did. I couldn't even do it. He got up and he told all the people what happened. And every time he came on the screen, everybody was cheering. So it was like a fitting way, you know, he was there.
He was definitely
He had
there.
everybody together to remember him that night, which was
And all
special,
the friends could mourn together. Rather
Yeah.
than finding out alone, we were all together in that one room to hear this.
Well, come June with the film festival now, they're going to be honoring him again too.
That's
so
correct.
There's going to be 2 movies that he performed in, the Nadine
In The Lonely Road.
and The Lonely Road, and they're going to be shown in the film festival, and there's going to be a tribute to him, which you will see that in another minute or two.
Yes.
That Lance had made it up, and we're going to show it to you right now. Why don't you roll it in?
That TV's dark.
So-
Actually, I did want to say too, Frank is also in documentary that I have submitted into the film festival too, The World Within.
Oh,
So he
really?
makes an appearance in that as well.
So after he's gone 3 appearances in the next film,
Yeah.
and he's been in every single one since they started. He's
Yes.
been in,
Yes.
in at least 1, sometimes 2 movies since the film festival began.
Well, I mean, as far as I know, Frank is willing to help out any filmmaker on Staten Island. He's always willing to lend a hand
Oh, yeah.
behind the camera, in front of the camera. He's
That's
such
right.
a generous guy, you know?
Very generous with his time, with his money, everything. I know. So we're going to see it. Okay, very good.
As I look at you, a thought goes through my mind. What a marvelous find you'd make upon the screen. I am proud that I have you right by my side, but I'd be satisfied to lend you to the people to be seen. You ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful to
Born February 11th, 1946, in Staten Island, New York, Frank Dudley tap danced his way into charity fundraisers and staged theme shows all over New York City, all by the tender age of 6. In his teens, he played his first theatrical role in New Girl in Town at Staten Island's own Snug Harbor. After studying method acting in New York City, he set out to begin his career as an actor. Acting work in Europe, California, and New York City followed, and since the late 1980s, Frank has been a producer at Staten Island Community Television. It was there that he met filmmaker Lance J. Reha, who was editing one of his films. Frank stuck his head in the door, introduced himself, and offered his services as an actor on any upcoming films. It was at that moment in 1997 that the relationship was born. Since that day, Frank has been in 15 Lake films, playing everything from a priest to the devil. On the set, he would always take time out to help out those actors that needed a little guidance to get through a scene. So he earned the role of a dialogue director, working alongside Lance on many films. When he wasn't in a film, and that was rare, he was always working behind the scenes, taping the outtakes and the making of footage. Frank has always brought something fresh and new to every role he took on, and always gave it his all. So sit back and enjoy the works of this talented, peaceful, and kind man who we call Staten Island's favorite actor, Frank Dudley. I've been working with Frank for a long time. Me and Frank started out years ago down CTV. I was editing a project, and he stuck his head in the door and said, "Hey, you're Lance Reha, aren't you?"
And I had seen his work, and I thought, this is somebody I'd like to work with.
And told me he was an actor.
At this point, I had pretty much decided I was going to spend the rest of my life behind the camera, and I had just, in fact, gone out and purchased the whole kit, camera, lighting, everything. And I showed up at the shoot the next morning with all my gear, and Lance said, "No, I think you got the wrong idea. I don't want you to shoot it, I want you to be in it."
And, well, it's all history since then. I'd say about 7, 8 movies he's been in, and he'll continue being in my films. We have a great relationship, friends first, and then colleagues.
Actually, over about the next 10 or 11 productions, if I'm not in front of the camera, I'm behind it.
Frank is a good actor, a hard worker, and always brings something different to each character. Every character he plays always has a different flavor to him, whether it's the way he speaks, the way he looks, his actions.
It got me thinking how people are always running somewhere. They don't know where. Running. You're as bad as you can be. My pussy can't hit hard at night. Welcome to the Humanitarian Show with tonight's guest of honor, Ben Savage.
God! Right here! Right now!
Things we have done that we wish we never had. We're only human. This is give Papa a quick big hug. What are you talking about?
Father, you set me up with these bums? Yeah, you're my friend. guts to do it myself. Do you think I'd have bothered to ask? What do you want from me? No. What don't you understand? Aren't you going to arrest me? Put me in handcuffs. Lock me up forever. My idea is for a new commando brigade of second-generation Italian Americans who can speak the various dialects. Get the cat, damn it, kid. There's no time. We have to save ourselves. We have to.
You go, get food and supplies, and then we'll go downstairs.
Now, damn it, move!
What you have to do is keep them talking for as long as possible so that we can help them.
I don't wish to appear crass, but your husband's been missing for more than 5 years. Maybe it's time for you to prepare a real nice memorial. You know, get on with your life. Move away from all this. You're a young woman.
On behalf of Lake Films, I'd like to thank you for taking this journey with me, and I look forward to seeing you again.
That was beautiful, Lance.
Thank you. Thank you. It's for Frank. It's for Frank. As you can see, the body of work was tremendous.
It was, yeah, he did so much, and it was really, it was tremendous. Also, besides all the movies that he did, he also did some television shows here in CTV, and Pat Brady's in the control room directing, and David will take over for her, and she can come out and say a few words, and she has a couple of clips from the UFO show that she and Frank did together for many years, and also they did a show called Attack on American Freedom, which was in response to 9/11. And Pat has a couple of clips from those two shows, and we're gonna show that now, and Pat's gonna come out and talk about that.
When you had asked me to make that, I didn't know where to begin. I said,
You did a beautiful job.
I don't know what to do. I didn't want to make it, because this is a celebration. I didn't want to make it a sad, you know,